React.
Look at you.
Look at that. Starting in Houston, where they traded for Stephon Diggs to add to a talented wide receiver room. Fellow wideout Nico Collins has big plans for Houston's wide receiver group.
It's gonna be dangerous, man. It's real dangerous, man. Having Diggs to the room, man, needs a lot of weapons. Great opportunity for everybody. It's only adding more depth, man, more weapons to the offense, more weapons to the team, man. So, but the sky's the limit for us, man. Can't wait until the season starts.
Depth and weapons. And he's exactly right, Nico Collins. Think about all the different pieces that they have. They have vertical speed with the Tank Dell, someone you can get the ball into his hands and go make something happen. You have this route runner extraordinaire with the Stephon Diggs that you could get in those one-on-one matchups. You have a Nico Collins that is a big-bodied guy that can win with some contested stuff. C.J. Stroud, obviously one of the best young quarterbacks, certainly quarterbacks in the NFL. So they have all these different pieces of guys that could play roles, let alone a Dalton Schultz, let alone their draft pick, a Cade Stover. So everyone has got a role that they kind of excel in, and that's perfect for this Bobby Slowick offense.
Stroud average.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this because we've been talking a little bit over the, I guess, like a couple months or so about what the Texans are doing and whether or not they're going to be successful. Yes or no. Now, first off, let me say at the very top, I completely believe in the Houston Texans and everything they're doing. I have praised their OC and CJ Stroud and the culture that they're building and the progress and how they've actually improved, right? Like, I compare them to the Dallas Cowboys where, you know, the Texans did better than the Dallas Cowboys, and yet they still were like, we want to get better and improve. While you have other teams like the Cowboys, for instance, coming up short and not doing things to get better. So that's why I really believe everything that the Texans are doing, and they're doing everything in the correct way and not in a desperate way. They didn't go and make some of these really bad deals just out of desperation of being like, oh my God, we have a pretty good team. Let's try to get us over the hump right away. Let's go. Like, they didn't do that. I think Diggs was a very smart acquisition, and how they did it puts them in a very strong position. It is technically a risk, but not a risk that's like, they didn't pay him $200 gajillion, right? So it's like they didn't back themselves in a corner. If Diggs proves to be difficult for whatever reason, whether it be because it is his personality, attitude, whatever, it's easily dealt with. And I believe that the culture that the Texans have built, although albeit it is a short-lived culture because it is brand new, that they are built to manage with it. And I've compared this a lot to the Eagles, what the Eagles did in 2022 of going out and getting A.J. Brown. The only difference is that they were on the hook for A.J. Brown. You know, it was a clean trade, and A.J. Brown was worth a lot of money at that point. So it ended up being an absolute game changer. It helped elevate Jalen Hurts. It helped really show the vision of a Shane Steichen offense. For those of you who don't know, he was the OC for the Eagles, and it catapulted them. Like, the team was complete. They were a play away from winning the Super Bowl, losing to none other than Patrick Mahomes. And so I really think the Texans can be on that trajectory without a doubt. My only concern is, and I get, wide receivers and just football players in general are always, ultra confident, but I just never love the noise, especially this far out in the preseason, far out before the season, saying it's going to be dangerous, real dangerous. Like, I get it. It's pumped. He's excited. He's pumped. It was kind of just like I don't even know what type of interview that was. Was I on a cell phone? I really have no idea. Was it a TikTok or an Instagram story? Whatever. So I don't take it too hard, but I just think that overconfidence, more often than not, it comes and gets you. But again, I believe in the culture that they have. I believe in their OC, so I do think that stuff can be managed. But a lot of teams come in there saying, a lot of players come in especially when they have a lot of nice pieces, they just say it's going to be dangerous. No one's going to be able to stop us, and you just get ahead of yourself, right? You put the cart before the horse, and I don't want to see that with the Texans. But I think CJ Stroud has a great head on his shoulders. Like I said, I believe in the coaching staff tremendously within the Texans organization. So I do believe that they will be able to manage any of these other bigger personalities, or when things get, when egos start to get a little big. And as I also emphasized as well, is that to me, the Texans they're kind of in a similar position as the Chicago Bears, albeit very differently. That, to me, the Texans need to start off strong. They need to start off strong because of conversations like this. Going to be dangerous, real dangerous, Diggs coming over. You have all of this. There is now true expectations. You have some people talking about CJ Stroud being the next big thing, the second best quarterback in the NFL. Like, those are real conversations that are being had now. You have people that are saying he's better than Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, all of these types of situations. And so the expectations are getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And that's okay. You want that. If you have no expectations, that means your team's not doing anything. So it's not a bad place to be in. But that's why starting off strong really does matter from my viewpoint, because this still is a young team with big personality people. And let's say the Texans go 0-2 or whatever, and I haven't looked at the schedule, so I don't even really know the likelihood of any of this, but let's say they go 0-2, 1-3, 2-2, even just like 2-2. You start to feel those conversations. Is it hard to get Diggs involved in the offense? You've only targeted him 4 times. What is he saying on the sidelines? Like, you start to field all those conversations, those questions. And then, like, Nico Collins said that you were going to be dangerous. Is this the offense you envisioned originally? And now that your offense is going great, it seems like your defense is lacking. Is there too much focus on the offense and not on the defense? Like, it just, things start to kind of spiral. And then things get messier and messier and messier, which is hard for a younger team. And even a younger coach, for that matter, no matter how successful they are. Things can kind of just get difficult. We saw this, to follow with the Eagles analogy. They started off hot in 2022 and hit the ground running, and so everything was great. Now bring that into 2023. Yes, they went like 10-1, but it was clear that they were not performing well. And Philly media is definitely, I can be confident, is a lot more aggressive than, say, the Texans media. But it was very much like, what is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Do you miss Shane Steichen? Is Jalen Hurts okay? Why is A.J. Brown so upset? And things started to just, build pressure on Jalen Hurts and the entire Philadelphia Eagles organization as a whole. Nick Sirianni was fielding questions non-stop. People were like protesting him outside of the stadium, to the point where I think he sent them like hot chocolate one time or something, like just like weird, bizarre stuff. And it happens. It can happen very quickly. So, again, I'm not saying I'm predicting that for the Houston Texans at all. I'm not saying I'm predicting that. It's just, we've seen these situations happen before. To keep kind of going with the Eagles, same thing that happened with the Eagles a million years ago with T.O., right? They had T.O., everything was great. They went to the Super Bowl. They came up short. They lost. The following year, things didn't go how they planned, and things started spiraling, and T.O.'s doing like workouts on his driveway, fielding questions, and then before you know it, he got kicked off the team. So things can just unravel quickly, especially when expectations are so high. But as I said before, I really think the Texans have a true chance at success, and I think the AFC is just as open as the NFC. I really, really do. I think all of these teams are all in the same category. I really think when we look at the AFC, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Texans, I'm not going to say any other teams. I'm just going to leave it at that, because once I start saying other teams, people start freaking out. But I think like anyone can win. I really, really do. I think any of those teams can make a move, and I think come time playoffs, this is obviously very long down in the road now, nearly a year away, but it's just like come time playoffs, it really will. This is going to be my common theme, I feel as though, for this season. It's just the definition of any given Sunday. It's just going to be, I don't want, if the Texans were facing the Chiefs today, or say the Ravens today, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh man, the Texans have no chance. Oh, they can't compete with the Chiefs. How are they going to keep up? No, man, that defense is going to lock CJ Stroud down. I don't believe that. I really, really don't. So I think it'll come down to some of these little things. It'll come down to maybe who's healthiest at that moment. It'll come down to little things like the weather, home field advantage, where everyone's at. And I really think that the Texans have just as good of a chance to make a legitimate AFC championship run, or dare I even say Super Bowl run. I really do. And again, I've also said this a lot now since we're talking about football more and more, but it's still very far in advance. Like, I try really hard not to make predictions, right? Like, I'm not going to say the Texans are going to win the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to three-peat. Like, that's just nonsense. We have zero idea what's going to happen in September, October, November, December, January. We have zero idea. So, but as of right now, just to have fun and talking about football this far out, like, it's just, to me, you should have nothing but optimism for the Houston Texans. You have a great young team that is going to get better and better and better. Not only are they individually going to get better, but they're going to get better collectively playing with each other. And I think Stroud is just going to continue to progress. I believe in all the coaches that the Texans have, and I really think it's just they really were able to flip the culture. Things were like really rocky for Houston, and then of course, obviously, everything that happened with Watson, things got even crazier, and then you made the right hire, Nico and Stroud. Like, everything just came together. It really, really did. So I'm really impressed what the Texans have been able to do, and I'm just not seeing any reason why they should be slowing down. The last point that I'll say is, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, they had such an easy schedule last season." And it's like, again, that's just nonsense to me. It's just nonsense. People are acting like the Texans just played a bunch of high school kids. And it's just not true. It's just not true. And yes, their schedule is going to be harder, but they are a better team this year. They have their coaches are more experienced. Their players are more experienced. Everyone's more mature. They've also added other key pieces. So they are indeed a better team. If they stayed exactly the same, and let's say their team wasn't young, and these were all guys that have just already been in their prime and playing for years, right? CJ Stroud is a 10 plus year vet or whatever, then that argument could make a little bit more sense. Then you could say, well, listen, they had a really easy schedule last year. That's why they were so successful. They're the same team this year, and now they have a harder schedule. I'm anticipating a step back. That argument could hold some weight, but it doesn't in this situation because the team got better. You have younger players who are going to just get better just because of sheer time and maturity, and they added pieces. So I disagree with that argument. It's not to say that they're going to win 15 games necessarily, but this idea that they're going to take a massive step back because they have a harder schedule, I think is just, that's getting lost in the weeds in the wrong way. I love to get lost in the weeds, but that's like when you're just trying to turn everything into a math and science aspect of football, and you just can't do that with sports. It just doesn't work that way. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think about the Texans? Do you think they can make a run? Do you think that they're going to be dangerous, real dangerous, like Nico Collins says? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.